Alright, sup citizens, welcome back to the Path of Rage and this week's Star Citizen news. It was a quiet week, it's going to be a short little episode, so I am RageX Games and let's get into it. First things first, because it is the thing that we're all currently waiting on the most, the info on the 3.24 patch that's currently in Evocati. We had a couple updates this past week where they focused on fixing the cargo docking for the Hull C and a few other things like that. They did make improvements overall. However, this week was particularly rough. Once they put out the cargo hauling mission, I was never able to complete one whatsoever, even though in a further patch, I think it was the second one, they did add the reputation to the cargo hauling mission, so if you did finish them off enough, you could progress the mission chain a bit. I'm amazed anyone was actually able to pull that off. I did see in the Evocati chat that some were. I was not once. I still had problems opening and closing hangar doors. Getting ATC to respond at all, getting the missions to respond at all. It was a buggy mess this past week. Again, a lot of things shown in the fixes and in the known issues. So they certainly got a lot of data, but there wasn't a lot for me to tell you, yep, they certainly fixed this, and we should see Wave 1 by the end of the week. I'm hoping, to be honest, that by the end of this week, we will see Wave 1, and as of the posting of this video, the same day is supposed to be a new patch for 3.24 for us Evocati to test, so I'll be sure to jump into that one and let you know how it went next week. They also did a very brief, I believe it was 2-hour tech preview channel test that was focusing on server meshing and the back end stability. It wasn't forward facing so much. I was unable to participate in that one just due to the timing of it. Again, it was a very short test, and from what I understand, CIG got a fair bit of background data, and it's helping them clear down the blockers for this patch to get it out to Wave 1. So we'll see where that takes us. They have said that there's going to be a lot more server mesh testing coming forward in the rest of the year, and that they want 4.0 with server meshing to be out by the end of this year. So we'll look forward to seeing more to come. This week's Inside Star Citizen was all focused on jump points, what the narrative background for them was, all the way through to the current implementation of them and how they see them going forward in the future. Right now, current plans are that there's going to be two forms of jump points: the stable ones and the transient ones. Stable ones will be kind of like the border checkpoints of the system. They're known, they'll be guarded, they'll have ATC and infrastructure built up around them so you can go to a station and resupply and all that before you go through a jump point, but also to serve people coming through the jump point into that current system. Transient jump points will be located around the system and will have to be found. They won't be necessarily a marked location, and they will be impermanent. CIG is saying that they won't last very long. They could, it sounds like they might last days, maybe even hours, and that they'll be fairly unstable. However, they will be ways that perhaps unlawful characters or people who just want to avoid the hassle of ATC at the large permanent jump points, they can take the transients to kind of sidestep the main gate, going through a side door, as it were, into the wormhole to get to the system that they want. They've also said that when we come out of the wormhole, that we won't all come out in exactly the same spot. That it'll be almost like a shotgun effect where ships will be spread around a bit in order to avoid not only just collisions with other people on the other side of the gate, perhaps not moving or getting out of the way, but also it's heavily implied that they want to prevent gate camping. like this. And while I like the idea in principle, they're going to have to be very careful in how they implement it, I think, as this shotgun spread effect will certainly help with you being camped, but it won't help you at all if you're in a group and the person that's, you know, protecting your cargo ship with their medium fighter is 20 kilometers away from you, or 15, whatever. Like, we're still going to have to be in fairly close proximity, or I don't think that that's going to work. Again, more testing is going to be involved in that. So I'm really interested in seeing where CIG takes that. At the permanent jump points, players will contact ATC in order to queue up to use it. This is being done so that players can't just skip the line, take advantage in lighter, more nimble ships by zipping in front of heavier ships that are slower to move. There will be an aura around the jump point that will push you away if you haven't contacted ATC and gone through what they call the tuning process, aligning your jump drive with the gate. Once this is done, you'll see this bubble of energy kind of form around your ship back to front, where it coalesces in the front and shoots out what looks like a little energy beam that opens up the jump gate for you and then pulls you in. Inside the jump gate, players will have to do their level best to avoid the walls of the jump gate, although CIG has said that it won't be ridiculously difficult. That'll be probably saved for the transient wormholes. They'll be a bit more harder to navigate, but the permanent ones will be much larger. Any size ship will be able to go through it. Groups of ships will be able to go through them, and it will be up to players to monitor their progress and avoid the sides. If you hit the sides and fail the jump, you either might end up in the system that you were jumping into, or you still be in the system that you were leaving. However, you will be on the very outside edges of that system, and you will have to use all that travel time to get back to where you wanted to go in order to complete the jump. One point of concern in all this, and again, this is kind of going to be tier 0, not even tier 1, tier 0, early access, but they did not manage to get group jumping into this build yet, and it doesn't sound like that's going to be the case in 4.0, that it will only be individual ships jumping at a time. If you want to jump with a group of friends, then you're going to have to all get there at the same time and kind of request ATC all at the same time. CIG has said that you'll be able to see how much room you have in the jump gate for a group to jump through. It's unclear what that explanation was. I'm not quite certain how it's going to work. We'll have to find out when they actually put out the builds. But the takeaway is that you will not be able to jump as a group all at the same time right now by requesting ATC once by one, the group party leader. That is very, very unfortunate, especially considering, you know, Star Citizen is an MMO. And group play is a big deal about it, especially if you're thinking about this. We're going to Pyro. Pyro is going to be a heavily lawless PvP and group-centered area. There's going to be a lot of people jumping to and from the Pyro system to Stanton in groups who will not be able to do that all at the same time. Again, CIG does say that they want this to come further on down the line, absolutely, but it won't be in 4.0 when this is first launched into the game for us all to get our hands on. This is unfortunate. It's one of those limitations that it happens the way it happens in ongoing development, but group play and jumping as groups and whatnot has long been a problem in Star Citizen, and to be honest, even as a solo main player myself, I was hoping that this would have been taken care of by now, or at least more on the table and functioning to a reasonable degree. It's an unfortunate fact that it is what it is, but we'll see what changes in the future and how long it takes them to actually implement that. Now, there was a developer reply in the Spectrum about the jump points, a little bit of clarity, especially on how they're going to work. I'll pop it up here on the screen for you to read yourselves, but the gist is that the ATC at the permanent jump points is solely for gameplay reasons. It's there for fairness. These jump points and the ATC are not there for the transient jump points. It'll be first come, first serve, winner takes all type thing. The permanent jump points are where the ATC is there to kind of help balance out and make it more fair to people showing up that have waited their time. Also, to have more security at the jump points. Again, it is supposed to be a border point. They also clarified the shooting of the jump point that I mentioned earlier, and I showed in that little clip there, that little beam that shoots out from the front of your ship. That is not a gun shooting at it. That is a visual effect showing that ripple wave when your quantum drive sinks to the jump point. Then that energy just shoots forward, and that's what opens the jump point. They just clarified that in this post as well. And that is it for the Star Citizen news this week. Again, it is a short update. It has been a relatively quiet week. And I have to admit, when it comes to these Evocati patches, they're starting to get rough for me. I find myself losing my patience with them a little bit quicker than normal. I might have to take a step back, but at the same time, I want to see this succeed. So every time a new patch comes out, I'm going to jump into it, and I will let you guys know. I'm just getting tired of not being able to report to you this is finally fixed, and holy crap, it's working quite well, and I can't wait to see where we go with it, as opposed to, yeah, it's still kind of buggy and fucked up, but we'll see where it goes. Again, it's been a quiet week, and the devs we know are working their asses off just for the changes that we see, but it is slow going, and again, that's only to be expected for such fundamental changes to the game, like the cargo elevators, like the hauling missions, and like the personalized inventory and all that kind of stuff. So I look forward to seeing where this game goes in the future. Hopefully they get these blockers sorted out, and we can see Wave 1 in everyone's hands sometime this week. Cross our fingers. Until next time, folks, I've been Rage at Games. If you thought I did a good job with this episode, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. Sound off in the comments. As always, I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe if you're new to help me grow to the channel. We are just shy of a massive subscriber number of 300 people, and I would love your help to get there. Until next time, I've been Rage at Games, and I'll see you in the verse. Bye-bye.